Joining me now is Center for Family and Human Rights President Austin Ruse. Austin, what do you think of this new data? Is population control the best way to address climate change?
Hi, Liz. Thanks for having me. This has always been on the table from the beginning of the modern environmental movement, that people are something of a cancer on the world. During the Kyoto negotiations now years and years ago, some countries were asking for population control measures in their basket of resources that they could count toward their total. So the debate continues. The news, however, is that on the one hand, Pope Francis, is a believer in man-made population or man-made climate change. But the church has never advocated that contraceptives and abortions are the way to go. And a recent report by the UN actually agrees with him.
Will the Pope come out and condemn population control, abortion, contraceptives as a solution to climate change, even though he's been an advocate recently for addressing this issue of climate change?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the successive popes, including this one, have been very insistent that the answer to what they see as environmental degradation can never include population reduction. The church has never taught that, and this pope doesn't either. But one of the big cheerleaders for that calculation have been politicians on the left, policymakers on the left, and certainly people at the United Nations. But a recent report from the UN Population Division, which is the official UN statisticians, actually says that they agree with the Pope. Not explicitly, but they say that abortion and contraception are not necessary to fix climate change. So we headlined a story just last week that the UN and the Pope finally agree, at least on one thing.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. I know the church has never advocated for that, but with Pope Francis's recent statements, I didn't know if he'd be equally as vocal in condemning something like population control as a solution to climate change. But where is this abortion agenda coming from if scientists agree that population control isn't the solution to climate change? Where is the abortion agenda coming from?
Well, just one more point about the Pope. His speech at the UN when he was here in the United States, he specifically condemned what he calls ideological colonialism. And that was music to my ears, because that's what we've been working against at the UN now for many, many years. And that's a reference to trying to take sort of Western sexual ideas and impose them on Africa and Asia and Latin America, on the poor people in the world. So all these ideas come from radical feminists in the United States, sexual revolutionaries, cultural Marxists. These ideas have been foisted upon the world from our own State Department, from UN agencies, from the European Union. But the good news is that Africa has stood up to this onslaught, as have many brave people in Latin America. And certainly the Catholic Church has stood up against it as well.
And here in the United States, Planned Parenthood has also been a big advocate of the abortion agenda, clearly. With these recent videos coming out showing Planned Parenthood butchering babies, selling their baby parts, changing the abortion procedure to be able to harvest the more valuable organs, women's rights, abortion, and life have become huge topics in this election cycle. Why do you think liberals want government to pay for all this? Why don't they keep that in a cultural battle, the battle of life and death between individual people? Why do they bring government into that and want all of us to pay for everything that is morally repulsive to us?
Well, they could not have gotten what they have, that is to say abortion on demand through all 9 months of pregnancy, without governmental intervention. It would not have happened except for the Supreme Court. I mean, you can look at the Obergefell decision on marriage. They wouldn't have gotten that without government intervention. So an aspect of government intervention, of course, is that the government pays for it. But one of the great common ground items on the abortion debate, something that unites, the center-left and the center-right, is that government should not be paying for abortions. And so you look at the recent letter of a number of U.S. senators that they want the United States to be paying for abortions in refugee situations in the Middle East, in Turkey, and elsewhere. It just shows that they take every opportunity to advance their agenda that is to say, government paying for abortions, even in the most horrendous refugee situations. They absolutely 100% believe in governmental intervention in all aspects of our lives.
And yeah, I want to speak to that for a second, too, your point about them advocating for abortions, not just here in the United States, but in the Middle East as well, in the refugee situations. Why are they injecting that into that situation? It's heartbreaking enough that these people are having to flee their homes. Why are they trying to have us, the American taxpayer, pay to end the lives of unborn babies? I want to get to the bottom of the mindset of the abortion agenda. We know that in the United States, it's based in racism, it's based in eugenics. What is it around the world? Why do they want to take that into other countries as well?